I would pray the prayer. If this person's not meant to be in my life, like, Lord, please remove them. When you pray that prayer, God, it comes as fast as Amazon Prime, okay? This prayer is like next day delivery. Hey guys, welcome back to No Cap Just Yeah.
We're your hosts. That's Selena, and I'm Esther.
Esther, what's something you prayed for at 18 that didn't go to plan?
Oh, buddy. It's
Loaded
crazy.
question.
Okay. 18, I was a sophomore in college, and I wanted to be a doctor still at that point. So I was praying to, get the best co-op I could get at a great hospital. And
Mhm.
then I thought I was going to be the freaking top surgeon eventually. Bro, I was like thinking like Chicago Med type B. Like I really thought like
Yeah.
life was going to look like that. I was like, I'm going to be a great doctor. But if I had that now, if I actually went on that path, things wouldn't have turned out well. Like I just don't think it's the right path for me. So I'm really
Mhm.
glad that didn't happen. What about you?
I feel like I thought I had my life figured out at 18. I was like, I'm gonna move out in my own place. I've always wanted to live in like a very pretty modern New York City apartment with like a
Oh.
very pretty view like during sunset of like the city skyline, you know?
Oh
You know, like
yeah.
movie
Yeah.
movie
Oh
vibes.
yeah. I know exactly what you're
So
talking about.
so I thought that after college I'd be working like a big girl job like in the city, moved out in my own apartment with a really nice view. And I also thought for some reason that I'd be in a pretty serious relationship.
Mm.
'Cause I thought I'd be married around, like, my mid-20s or, like, maybe, like, 26, 25, which
Oh.
looking at now is crazy, but I am seeing, like, people our age from college, like, get engaged, and we're
Yeah.
literally, what, like, a year out? So, like, it feels insane to me that I was thinking that as an 18-year-old because right now, like, I don't even feel anywhere near ready for that.
Yeah. I can't imagine, bro. I cannot imagine. No way. There's just no way. That would be so crazy being engaged right now. It's
I
just not the
know.
life stage I'm in at all.
No, not at all. And, like, speaking of things not going according to plan, I remember feeling so on top of the world at 18 years old after graduating high school.
Yeah, bro, going into college, eh, I thought life would be different. It was low key giving like those movies, you walk onto campus, everything's so exciting and new. There's new people, new sights to see. Oh man, I was so hyped coming into
Yeah.
freshman year. Like extremely hyped.
I
But
know, I
it
like, it
yeah.
was like world is your oyster. Everyone
Yeah.
was telling me, like, college is gonna be the best 4 years of your life, it's gonna be so much fun. I feel like I thought I knew it all when I was in high school. When we turned
Mm.
18, we are like, "We're adults now," you know? But, like, little did we know, like, we were literally just babies getting started. When I look at freshmen nowadays, I'm like, "Wow, you're like a
Right?
high schooler."
You can literally tell they're straight out of high school, but when I was a freshman, I thought that I was the top dog. Like, I really
For
thought I
real.
was lit. I thought I was the girl, like, you know what I
I
mean?
know. How was your, like, relationship with the Lord during that time?
So, it's interesting because it was super strong the beginning of my senior year in high school, right? Because
Mhm.
senior year of high school was insane. It was really bad, the beginning of it, because I just moved to California, and I had to start a new school my senior
Yeah,
year during COVID,
that's
fully
rough.
online, 1,000 AP classes while, like, trying to apply to colleges. So,
Mm.
it was definitely it was definitely a trying time. So God and I we were like this, bro. We were tight. Like I was talking to him, I was like, God, please help me. He did, and I ended up transferring back to my old high school because it was a semi-private
Oh,
high
okay.
school. So I was able to go there for a small fee,
Mhm.
but a small fee. I was able to go to my high school in Maine, so that was really great. So my relationship with God was tight coming into college. I thought we had it set, bro. I was like, this is
I
my
know.
10-year plan, God. Like we're gonna hit this. It's gonna be lit. We're not gonna stray. I literally had everything planned out to the T, bro. Like every bullet point. I was like, I'm gonna hit this freshman year, and then I'm gonna hit this sophomore year, bro. So it was going to plan for a short while, and then everything went astray.
Mhm. For me, I actually had a really good senior year. It felt like the peak of high school. And senior year, like, there was a big focus on, like, what college you're going to, obviously. My high school was very competitive, so all everybody was thinking about the whole 4 years was, "What school are you gonna get into?" Like, all the prep we did, all the AP classes we did, the amount of work we put in, it felt like the big end result was college, you know?
Interesting, okay.
And so, I feel like, in a way, there was this, I guess, idolization of college in my head.
Mm, mm.
And so it was super stressful, honestly, like applying to colleges because there were so many unknown factors. It was like the first time where I really had a huge say in my next stage of my life, you know? Like up
In your
until
future, yeah.
now, everything is basically planned for you. What high school you go to, what middle school, it's like where you live basically. And like
Yeah,
even the
exactly.
people that you see every day is determined by that too. So it was like such a big decision. I was never one of those people that had like a dream school from like a young age. I was always like, oh, well, like I'll figure it out, you know?
Mhm.
So my senior year, I heard about a school called Northeastern, which is crazy. And it was like one of the schools that was on there was this website that had like virtual tours, and Northeastern was one of them. It was the first campus I virtual toured, and I don't know why. I was like hooked from it. I loved ever since that virtual tour, I like fell in love with Northeastern. I don't know if it was like the co-op program or just like the fact that it was a school in Boston, which I loved. And it was
Right.
best of both worlds. I had a campus, but it was still like in the city, which is super nice. So
Exactly.
it was like my top school, but I wouldn't say, like, I was, like, obsessed with it, you know? I just, like, really wanted to go.
Right.
So, I remember I applied to a bunch of schools, I did all the supplements, and then I EA'd to Northeastern, obviously, and it's crazy because I had no idea what was coming, you know? Like, I EA'd in, like, November of senior year, and I think they let me know by, like, January that I got in, but then because the tuition is so expensive, it's a private school.
Yeah.
I open the financial aid package and I look at the number and I'm just like, "That's it?" Like, I
That
was
ain't gonna
so
cut it.
right? Like, I was so excited when I got in, and then I look at the package and I'm like, "Wow, like, God, there's no way I can go to Northeastern with that amount of money," you know? It was, like,
Mhm.
barely scratching the surface. I was like, "The tuition is,
Dang.
like, $1 billion a year. There's no way that amount of money is enough." So, I remember being, like, really sad because I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to Northeastern," basically. I knew it, you
Mm,
know? So, I didn't, like, give up, but I feel like in the back of my mind, I kinda was like, "Okay, I need to find out, like, a different plan, like a backup plan."
mhm.
And I applied to other schools, but in the back of my mind, I was like, "Let me just give it one more shot." And I was praying about it. So what I did was I appealed the financial aid package because my dad had gotten laid off the year before COVID. So that was my
Mhm.
reasoning for doing that. And I wrote them like a whole letter explaining the situation and basically asking for their sympathy. Writing a pity letter essentially. Like I wrote a whole pity letter and my dad signed it, which is funny. So then I sent it to them, and mind you, this was January, I heard nothing. It was absolute silence for months. So in my head, I was like, "Okay, like, they just don't want me. They're ghosting
Oh.
me, you know? They don't wanna give me any more," which is like, "Okay, fine, like, whatever." So in my mind, I was like, "Okay, well, what's my next option," you know?
Mm,
So by, like what decision day was May 1st. By, like, end of
something
April,
like
you
that.
kinda had to know, like, where you were going. So I was looking at all the schools I got into, which I basically got into, like, all the schools I applied to. There was a couple I got
Mhm,
waitlisted from. So
mhm,
I was like, "Okay, my next best option that gave me the most money, that's also a great school, is BC," which was is actually not too far from Northeastern. And my
mhm.
mom was obsessed with Boston College. I don't know, like, because it was a Christian school, so she was, like, super into that. But to me, I was like, "I like it, but it's, like, very similar to high school vibes. The people that go there are
Mm,
very similar to high school." So I was kinda like, "I really want a change," you know?
mhm.
I was, like, happy, but not that happy. But it was my I guess, my second best choice. So, yeah, on April 30th, it was the day before decision day, I committed to BC. I literally put the deposit down, thinking that I would go there. And
Ooh.
the lore is, I had been praying for a long time for Northeastern, but I just thought that maybe God was like, "No," you know, because nothing
Right.
happened. And
Mhm.
so I was like, "Okay, I'll go to BC." But because of that, I got into a huge fight with my dad. It was, like,
Oh,
actually the biggest
no.
fight with my dad ever because he was like, "You're not able to go to your top school, so, like, why don't you just pick, like, a SUNY, you know, in New York, a state school for us?"
Oh,
Because it was
I
so much
see.
cheaper, right? And it'd be a little closer to home. And so we got into a big argument. Like, that was, like, a fight that I'll never forget. I'm sure they still remember because I feel like I very rarely yell at my parents, but I was very upset
Mm,
because I was like, "This is my
right.
life. This is the
It's
only
your whole
decision I've ever gotten
future.
to make." Yeah. I was like, "Let me
Mhm.
choose." And, like, he didn't want me to choose. He, like, obliged, you know, but
Yeah.
It was not a good day. Emotions were running high. And then all for that, for me to commit to BC, and the next day, I found out from Northeastern that they literally appealed my package, and I was like, "Bro." So I opened the
Nice.
portal, and literally I saw that, like, they had more than doubled the amount that they gave me in the beginning. And it's crazy because in my heart, I had prayed for God for a certain number. I was like, "I need this amount of K," like an
Mhm.
aid, and the Lord literally gave me exactly what I prayed for, which is so
Nice.
crazy. It's just like a
Nice.
testament to his faithfulness. I was ready to give up. I was like, "Okay, I guess it's not happening?"
Mhm.
And it's funny because God saw the desire in my heart. I was praying for it for so long, and he opened the door for me, and I didn't even think it was
Mm.
possible, honestly, for that to happen. Like, I have never heard of, like, someone getting double what they asked in the beginning. It's
Right?
just, like, this seems very unrealistic, so I was just so grateful, and even though, like, a few weeks later after that, I actually got off the wait list for, like, Vandy and a couple other schools that
Mhm.
were really
That
strong
you were
schools,
really
like
good. Mhm.
yeah, like, that were better than Northeastern, honestly, but because God had already answered my prayer, I was like, "Let me just honor this decision." So I ended up
Mm.
going to Northeastern, and so from then on, I thought me and God were set, right? I was like, "God answered my prayers." I was like, "Alright, God and I have the same, like, vision, plan for my future." Like, if I could go back and, like, slap myself, I would, because college really just takes a turn with, like, all the plot twists, you
Right?
know?
But hey, like, ignorance is bliss, bro. Like
I know. It's crazy because, like we were saying, like, we felt so on top of the world. We thought we were like this with God, you know? We thought
Mhm.
God's plan was also our plan, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
newsflash, it wasn't.
It's not. Yeah, that's actually so interesting because Northeastern was, like, your top school, like, you really liked
Yeah.
it and you were praying to get into it. It's so funny because Northeastern was, like, one of the last colleges I applied to because I was like, I should add another school to my my applications." So I searched on Google, "What schools don't have any supplemental essays?"
I'm
Because I was
dead.
so over it. I was like, "I'm not writing any more supplements." And, it was like, "Northeastern University." Okay, so I went, click, click, apply.
No,
And
literally.
it's
It's
so
just simple.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
Quick and simple. I was like, "Why not?" Just in case, you know? And it actually worked out really great because the other schools I really wanted to go to were Boston College and
Mhm.
then Case Western Reserve University, but neither of them gave me as much money as Northeastern, right?
Yeah.
And I really, really, really wanted to go to a school that gave me enough money where I wouldn't have to worry about it, like at least for a few
Mhm, mhm.
years, because that's just like I don't like playing with money, you know?
Yeah.
So I was really grateful that like he led me to apply to Northeastern and gave me that aid because in the long run, it was needed because without
Mhm.
Northeastern, I wouldn't have had my co-op, and without the co-op, I probably would be in medical school miserable
No,
and, like,
literally.
hating the future, so it all worked out, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, I think it's just crazy how God has a plan for our life, but it never goes according to exactly what we want, you know? And that's
Right,
for the
right.
better, because we think we want something, and then when we actually get it, we're like, "Actually, we don't really want this." I'm, like, really grateful that God is so faithful in the way that he carries us in our life, and he's the one who directs our paths and step, you know?
Mhm. Right.
We are just to trust him, and that part is really hard for me. In college, I think when we started, it was the first time in my life where we had, like, kind of full control of what friends we want to make, where we want to be, what
Mhm.
classes, where to be, where to go. There's no one telling us what to do anymore, you know? Like, we weren't living
Yeah.
under our parents' roof. It's my first time, honestly, being away from home for so long, and in high school, I feel like to me I was talking with my high school friend about this. It feels like a lot of the friends we made, they were good friends, but it just felt like a lot of them were made out of convenience. It's like who you saw every day because
Hmm.
I went to such a small middle high school. It was the
Mhm.
same people you grew up with. So whatever
Oh,
friend
that's
group you kinda
crazy.
had in middle school is literally the exact friend group, like, you walk out with at the end of high school. Yeah, I
Oh,
added some more
wow.
friends to that here and there, but it
Mhm.
felt like whoever you saw the most or exposed to the most or happened to be near, those are the people that you ended up being friends with, whereas, like, college is not like that. Northeastern's, like, I would say a
Mm.
medium-sized school. There's what, like,
Okay, yeah.
18K, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's a lot of
18,000.
people. Mhm. So, like, you weren't seeing the same people in your classes every day, even if in the same major. There are some big classes, and even the dorms, like, every dorm has different people,
Right.
and each floor was, like, maybe, what, like, 60 to 80 people as well. Like, it was a big change. How was it for you, you think, like, navigating from high school to college?
Honestly, it was a little bit different for me because I moved to a different state before I started high school.
Mhm.
So I didn't know anyone. So I just kind of
Yeah.
inserted myself into like a bunch of different groups. The first thing I did was like volleyball tryouts. So I did that before school even started. So I had my friends from volleyball, and then I from there, I found someone who is in, like, the theater kinda department, so then I had friends in theater, and then a lot of my friends were also band kids, so I had, like, band friends. So I feel like it wasn't really much of, like, a friendship of convenience thing. I don't know, there was just, like, so many different people. My high school was the largest high school in Maine, but it wasn't
Yeah.
big. It was
Okay.
1,600 people. Like,
For
so
your whole high school or for your
for my
class?
whole high school. So it wasn't, like, extremely large where I felt overwhelmed, but it wasn't, like, super small where it was the same people every single, like, time I walked into the building, you know?
Mhm.
But versus college, I think being in such big groups and, like, the world is my oyster type thing doesn't really work for me that well. Because
Mhm.
I feel like I'm more of, like I'm, like, beyond introverted, you know, beyond shy. I can't really approach big groups of people very easily. So I felt like making friends in college was more of a convenience thing, like, who I was around
Yeah.
a lot
Or
of the
your
times
roommate
rather
and stuff.
yeah, my roommates who lived on my floor, like, who I went to church with, stuff like that. The areas I usually gravitated towards because I could not branch out, like, I didn't have enough capacity for that, you know, versus in high
Mhm.
school, I had enough capacity for that because it wasn't, like, a million people all around me, you know, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I will say even though at the time I was more of an extrovert, definitely, even that was still hard for me, like, freshman year. It's like you
Mhm.
literally start from scratch. And also, I didn't grow up in Massachusetts, so a lot of people who grew up in Mass, they already knew people from either high school or church or, like, some extracurricular.
Mm,
My roommate, she grew up in Mass, so she already knew, like, a bunch of people as well because
interesting.
she grew up there. Whereas, like, for me, it was, like, starting from literally 0 because none of my good friends from high school ended up at the same college as me either.
Mhm.
So I feel like it was a lot of, like, finding my place, even church-wise,
Mm,
like, finding a new church community. I only went to, like, 2 churches up until that point my whole life. It was like, what church do I go to? Where do I even start?
mm,
Boston is it's a small city, but it also could be very overwhelming because there's so many options, especially with
yeah.
churches. You
Mhm.
go into city, like, there's, like, 10 churches at least in the near vicinity, which is, like, a great thing, but I think as a college student, it's always like, "Oh, like, where do I even start?"
Yeah, it's like decision fatigue, you know?
Yeah, it is, and, like,
Yeah.
I remember our first church that we went to was at the time, they were renting out a space in the movie theater in
Mhm.
Cambridge, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Bro, the fight to stay awake in those comfortable movie theater
It was
chairs,
recliner
man.
chairs.
Yeah.
It's like there's, like, the big movie screen, the pastor's, like, standing in front of it, we're literally in these ginormous, most comfy recliner chairs ever, better than AMC, I would say, and, like,
Mhm.
they had the button to, like, literally recline all the way down, and I literally, like, had to fight my urge.
And not to mention the commute was quite the
Oh, yeah,
commute.
it was so far
Yeah.
away
So
too.
we were tired by the time we got there.
Yeah, so eventually, like, we didn't end up committing to that church. We went to a bunch of
Mhm.
other ones, but we ended up at this other church. It was a lot closer to our school,
Yeah.
like maybe 15 minutes by the T.
Mhm.
But even that, it was a very different church to the way I grew up. It was a
Yeah.
Presbyterian church.
Yeah, I know the liturgy and stuff, like standing up and all saying the same things as everyone else in the room, like reading off the screen. That was a change. That was
Yeah, I'm
definitely
not
a
used to that.
change. Yeah, because like you, I grew up Baptist and, non-denominational, you
Yeah,
know?
same.
So, like, there wasn't any of that in my churches. It was so interesting. But bro, remember the jazz days
Yeah,
at that
Jazz
church?
Week. So let's explain what Jazz Week is. So our church worship team they were really talented. Just because we
Mhm.
were located in Boston, a lot of the people that were on that team either they were like pursuing music at Berkeley or they were like a professor there. So everyone was like actually like top of the game. But because they were so good, they like wanted to try new things. It was like I feel like twice a month at least.
Honestly, yeah, it was twice a month at one point at that beginning.
Twice a month, they would, like, play the worship songs that you guys would all know and love, but it would be, like, jazz version, but it wasn't just, like, a little jazz, it was, like, they would completely change, like, the tune of the song, so you would
Yeah.
try to sing, and then you'd think, like, "What is going on? Is this the same
Yeah.
song?" Or, like, a
It was
remix.
so hard to follow, and all the runs and, like, the little, like, flourishes and, like, the vocals, you can't follow that. You don't know when it's gonna be. Because of those frequent jazz weeks, I literally
Yeah.
left the church and went back to the movie theater church for a while.
Oh, yeah. I know, because it was, like, so hard to get used to. I feel like it was a struggle for me because I feel like I liked certain things about every church, but there wasn't a perfect
Mhm.
church. Every
Right,
church, I was like,
exactly.
there's something I don't like about it."
Mhm.
And that was just I think it was a struggle, like, picking one at the end of the day. But it was realizing,
Yeah.
like, God could work wherever you are. So you sometimes you just have to kinda make the decision to pick one and just trust that he'll build your community and he's gonna still work in his mysterious ways, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely
Yeah.
preferred the community at the church that was closer to us. So, like a couple months later, my roommate had told me that they dialed down on the jazz weeks at the
Oh,
church closer to us,
yeah,
so I
they
came
did.
back. So I was like, "Yo, like low-key God answered my prayers because I could not deal with the frequent jazz weeks." But I really like the sermons from the church closer to us. So, you know?
Yeah, the pastors were really good. I think that's what kept me going. I like the sermons a lot. For me, I loved it because it felt like a church that was very open and honest about things, and, like,
Mm,
I grew up in a church where there were a lot of issues, but they kind of brushed it under the rug, so it actually led to a lot of bigger problems. Whereas, like, when we started going to this church, there were a lot of big issues, actually, and
I
leadership
remember
changes
that,
before
yeah.
we came, but at least, like, they were transparent about it, so I felt like I knew what I was walking into, you know? Which that's why I think
Exactly.
that was part of the reason why I chose the church because I liked how vulnerable they were.
Yes, yes, exactly, and that really came through, and it made it feel more real and not like they were trying to put up a front, like so many Christians try to put up a front that everything's perfect when we're just as broken as the rest of the world, you know? So it's like
No, it's true.
you kind of have to let go of that pride. So I like that the church was open about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I think that was really something that I thought a lot of churches didn't do. So I was like really happy and grateful that we were able to go to church like that. But when it comes to like outside church, right? Like back in school, I didn't date before college because I was
Mhm.
so focused on my work and like
Yeah. Yeah.
academically studying. I didn't have time to have a boyfriend, in high school. So, by college, I think most of us are thinking the same thing, like, "Oh, like, it's time to, like, start dating, start figuring out the future, who that future would be with." But then we
Okay, who's
look
that
at
future
all of
be?
our right? And then we look at all of our selection, I'm like, "Why is everyone, like,
Bruh.
kinda chopped here?" Like, all the guys in Boston I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe it was
like
just me.
no, it was me too. I was so confused. I looked around, saw all the faces, they weren't looking good to me. I was confused. I was like, "What?"
I
But
know. And
thankfully, it
mind you,
didn't
D
really impact
Boston's
me.
diverse. Boston's pretty
Yes.
diverse.
They're like, I everyone was short too.
Yeah. Like, when we say short, I mean, like, I felt like every guy was, like, 5'6" and under.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird to me.
I'm 5'6" on a short day. Selena, how tall are you? Like
I'm
5'4"?
5'5", but with shoes, I'm like 5'7",
Yeah.
So, I'm like, it's like, as a guy, like, at least a few inches. I'm not, like, that picky,
Bro.
but
No, literally, at least be taller than me when I'm wearing my platform Converse, you know what I mean?
no, literally.
At the very least, so it was so crazy, bro.
It's so funny because my high school friend, she went to school near Northeastern,
Mhm.
but it was also in Boston, so I saw her quite frequently my freshman year. We had this joke that if we couldn't find anyone at our school, that we would set up camp outside MIT and Harvard as a backup plan. We were like, "Well, we should go scouting," because, like, we were like, the options at our school not looking too hot, you know? We're like,
Oh my
"Maybe we should move
goodness.
across the river, to the other side."
Please, across the river! Why did the Northeastern girls cross the river?
No, but we never actually ended up doing it. It was just, like, a little inside joke. Boston's a college town, so, like, there's so many schools and a lot of people your age.
Mhm.
And somehow, even with the whole pool of people, I didn't find my fish.
It's so funny. I
It's funny.
honestly wasn't looking for my fish, like, the first couple years.
My fish is crazy. We're gonna get canceled,
I wasn't looking for a fish, you know? I wasn't fishing at all, but I thought maybe I do wanna fish a little bit, but,
right?
'cause, I was a little disillusioned about the whole fishing thing, but after a while, I was like, "You know what? Maybe," but it was too late, so there's no point.
For me, it's like I wanted to find someone, but I also wanted them to be, like, Christian and have the same values, but they
Yes,
also
yes,
had to
yes.
have the personality that I like, So it
Exactly,
was
the
just
pool
like
was small.
yeah, the pool so, like, it was hard to get all those boxes checked, and, like, you're never gonna get everything you want. I dated a bit in college, but nothing actually ended up coming to fruition.
Mhm. I had that one it wasn't a date, okay, meeting
Mhm.
with my, marriage pact guy. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, sophomore year, I think, or junior year, there was
The
this
lore.
There's this little survey that came out, and it was like a Valentine's Day marriage pact thing. So you would fill
Mhm.
out a lot of questions, and they'd match you with someone who was like your perfect match, basically. And this guy was my perfect match, but we both on our forms put that religion was important,
Yeah.
but in the algorithm, it didn't filter out which religion. So we both
Yeah, that's not good.
yeah. So we both were like, religion's important, but I'm Christian, he's Muslim. That's not gonna work. Like, that's
Yeah.
fundamentally
Mm-mm.
like if both of our religions are important to us, it's not gonna work for us to, you
Exactly.
know? So it was so interesting. That was the one like it wasn't a date, but that was the one experience I had not dating in Boston. And
Mhm.
that just really showed me how small the pool was, you know?
No, literally. Pool was small. During that time in college, there was a lot of confusion about a lot of things. I was figuring who I was too, first and foremost.
Mhm.
Not even just like in faith, but in life. Like, what do I want?
Right.
You know, what does my future look like? What can I see myself doing? And where do I see myself? Like, where is God placing me? You know, that was like
Mhm,
a
mhm.
struggle. What's my purpose? And I feel like during that time, my friend was actually asking me about the faith a lot, and I told her, "Walk by faith, not by sight," right? Like, over text. And it's
Mhm.
crazy because she sends me a picture back to my response because she was really crashing out about something, so that was the advice I gave her. She sends me a picture of the ring that her mom gave her when she was little, and you know what was carved in it? "Walk by faith, not by sight."
Oh,
And I remember I
okay.
started crying because I was like I feel like in that moment, it was like a way of God also preaching to me. 'Cause I was preaching to her,
Mm.
but I couldn't even take my own advice, you know?
Right,
I was
right.
struggling to walk by faith, not by sight. For me, like, I was seeing everything and I was like, "I don't know." Everything is just so it's just not the way I thought. Like, I thought I had it figured out, but, like, I feel like I have
Yeah.
nothing figured out. And God's timing, it's just so interesting and so beyond our comprehension sometimes that it makes it hard to trust. Like, have you
Yeah.
ever, like, felt, like, very frustrated with God?
Yeah, honestly, because like I said, I thought I had everything figured out, you know? Going into college and then the path I had set out for myself, basically, because obviously it wasn't the path that God wanted for me. And that made me crash out a little bit. Junior year during my co-op, I worked at a
Mhm.
as a medical assistant. And within the first week, I was like, this is not for me. But I was stuck in it. And I was confused because I like
Yeah.
for the past 10 years of my life, I thought this was the path I was supposed to be on. And it was just really difficult trying to deal with that, like, realization that the future I envisioned for myself wasn't the one that God had planned for me because there's
Yeah.
no way that he wanted me to be this miserable. And I think he was just, like, trying to teach me, like, this path that you're on, that you think you're on, isn't actually the one I want for you, you know?
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't say I was frustrated, I was more, confused and upset, disappointed, very confused, basically.
Mhm. Do you
So
remember during that time? Because I remember you would always tell me that you would pray a certain prayer before you went into your med co-op.
was it I think I prayed that I would be, like, sick or something so I wouldn't have to go in.
It just goes to show how you thought, like, that's what you wanted, and it was like she was dreading, like,
It
that
was
job every day.
horrible. I literally like, a nurse made me cry on my 2nd day. It was
Mhm.
bad. That's not the path for me. So, it was confusing, but it was definitely necessary, and that just shows that, like, applying to Northeastern and going on co-op, everything was part of his plan because if I'd gone
Yeah,
to a different school, I would've probably been stuck on the path that I was on,
exactly.
so yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that your big crash out was your junior year, right? Like, with
Yeah.
that co-op. My crash out was yours was in the fall, mine was in the spring of junior year.
Oh.
So, at the spring of junior year, I actually well, first of all, I was kind of in the middle of a lot of drama going on at my house, like, with my family. There was a lot going on back home that I was dealing with, and then I also had just come out of a situationship that I thought would go a certain way, and it didn't. So that was really hard on me too, emotionally.
Mm,
And then on top of that, I start this co-op that I think I'm gonna be set with, right? Like, it's like a finance co-op, it paid really well, it has a very, like, strong, path forward, right? Like, it would be
mm.
a field that would have my life taken care of, basically, you know?
Right.
I'd be
Financially,
comfortable
yeah.
in life, yeah.
Mhm.
And so I thought that I would try out this job and that I would love it and that I would, like, get my return offer and that I would be set and I don't even have to, like, look for a job after senior year. No. I start this job, like, week 1, even the training made me crash out because it was stuff that I had no idea. Like, I didn't learn any of this in
Oh.
school. It was even the training, like, it was, like, back to back to back for the whole first week, and I remember just feeling so overwhelmed, and I'm like, "Wow, like, am I on the right path? Because like, why do I
Mm.
feel so lost?" And it was, like, not just learning, it was just so boring. I would, like, listen to my team yap about, like, XYZ, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't, like, I just can't," you know? And, like, even, like, the first few months, the job itself was super tedious. I was looking at contracts all day. I was literally on spreadsheets all the time. I just felt like I didn't have a strong purpose there, and I think for me, like, I crashed out really bad because I thought that I would like this job. I thought it would be okay. I thought I had my future planned out, and then God was like, let me show you why everything you wanted is not actually what you want. So I in a way,
Right.
like, he let me take this job, you know? He let me take
Mhm.
this job to show me that what I wanted was not what was in his plan. And thank God he gave me that trial period because I would rather do that co-op any day than be stuck in a job out of college paying rent and not being able to leave.
Yes.
So like in a way,
Yes.
like he was very merciful in that way. Like, he still gave me what I wanted in a sense and then showed me that it's not what he wanted or what I wanted. So yeah, crazy. Honestly, up until then, my faith was not, like, smooth, but I feel like I never really experienced, like, the feeling of, like, being angry or frustrated with God until that
Mm.
year, right? It felt like junior year, everything was falling apart. I could barely hold the pieces of my life together. It felt like everything was just slipping through my control, like sand falling through my fingers. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, just, like, imagine sand running through. That was my grip on life. Like, I had no control over anything, and it was honestly so, so hard, right? But
Mm.
it was that moment and that year that I feel like I really drew near to the Lord. I felt like I had no one else to count on or rely on.
Mm. Yeah.
Even just looking back on, like, all the prayers I prayed whenever I was dating, I would pray the prayer, and you guys know which one. It's like, if this person's not meant to be in my life, like, Lord, please remove them. Bro, when I tell you, when you pray that prayer, God, it comes as fast as Amazon Prime, okay? This prayer is like next day delivery. Every time I prayed that prayer, the person would, like, disappear. When I say disappear out of my life, I mean, like, they would be the ones to end it, which is crazy because, like, everything would be going smooth, so it would be, like, really out of the blue. So that's how I knew it was God intervening, and it wasn't just
Mm.
them, you know what I mean? It wasn't anything that I
Mm.
did wrong.
It just wasn't for you. Like, God just said it wasn't for you,
No, literally,
basically.
and, like, He loves you that much where He cares about your heart so much that He would not let you settle for someone who's is undeserving of you, you know?
Right, right.
Because looking back, aren't you so grateful that you didn't end up on that path?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because like you said, I'm grateful that it happened while I was in undergrad, because if I had gotten into medical school and then started paying like 100K a year to be in medical school, bro, sunk cost fallacy, I wouldn't have left, you
No, literally,
know?
you
There's
woulda kept
no way.
going.
I would have kept going, like, so thankfully that happened earlier on, 'cause, it's just the thought of it, it's like, "Oh my god." I could not be a medical doctor.
It's like the hindsight, right? You're so grateful that your life did not look like what you thought, like, that God's will still somehow find its way of, like, prevailing, you know,
Mhm, mhm. But now I'm also still like,
in
"What's
that
going on,
position.
God? Like, where
I
where are
know.
we going from here?"
It's like now that we've left college and, like, our 18-year-old selves thought that we would be set by now, we would have this certain plan or our life would look like this. Now God has completely, like, scratched up everything and threw it out the window. He's like, "You thought
Yeah.
this was it? Bye. See, you'll never see that again. That plan, gone. Plan A, gone. Plan
Gone.
B, gone. Plan C, gone."
It's
So,
crazy.
yeah. Do you think your relationship with the Lord has changed a lot because of that, coming out of college and, like, navigating this, like, early adulthood away from school, like, real adulthood, basically?
Right, I think a little bit. Like, we're locked in, but also we're a little rocky, you know, because
Yeah.
I have times where I'm like, "Okay, God, I trust you. Like, I know that eventually you'll put me on the right path and you'll give me what I am what my heart desires," you know? But then the
Mhm.
next day I'm like, "So God, it's been a lot of months.
I know.
And when am I gonna become a functioning member of society? It's feeling a little bit, weird out here." So, I guess, yes, it's changed a lot because this stage of my life, that I hope is almost over, God, um,
Real.
is a very uncertain stage, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
in that sense, like, my relationship with God is so it's an ebb and flow, or like a it's like an
Yeah.
up and down type trusting him versus, like, doubting him a bit and
Yeah.
wondering what's next. And also with that, like, I'm going to a church that my mom was going to while I was in college, and
Yeah.
It's, like, a little difficult to try to integrate myself into the church community because I'm like it's hard for me to approach groups, like, it's really hard for me to
Yeah.
approach I won't approach a group of people, but I recently just met, like, the young adult group, so I'm sort of getting into the community a little bit, finally, it's been a year, but so yeah, I don't know, it's hard to find a new church community while also trying to figure out this stage of my life that's so rocky, so my relationship with God has definitely changed a lot right now.
Mhm. Yeah, literally same. Everything you said, like, about the waiting, right? I think I realized I can be a very impatient person. When I
Mm,
want something in my life, like, I want it to happen now. I wanna make it happen right now, in my way, in the plan that I want, you know? And that's not
yes.
how life works, and that's not how God works either. I was actually listening to a sermon last week after crashing out about something, and the pastor was like, "When you're a follower of Christ, waiting is not a season, waiting is your life." And I was like, "Oh." And I was like, "Dang," because that's so true when you really think about it. When you're a follower of God, you are always waiting on the Lord. It's
Mm,
not just a season. This is like your entire life. The pastor was like, "Everything with God is a slow burn." I didn't even want to hear that because that's how my life has felt like right now. And it's just like the slow burn is like God refines you in the process of stripping away things that you thought your identity were attached to. For me right now, it's like
mhm,
work, right? I tied so much of my hopes and dreams and my identity in like what I do and what I could achieve. And then
yes.
because of that, like God had to strip that away from me. And in this period, he's like rebuilding my identity. But that process is so painful. There's so many
Mm.
days I wake up and I'm just like what am I doing with my life? You know?
Yeah.
Like I feel
Yes.
like it's not aligning with what I wanted. And I'm like, I don't do well with uncertainty, you know, uncertainty.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I get that.
It's just like, man, like, why is everything taking so long? Don't you
Yes,
ever wish like
bro.
God could just like speak to you and tell you exactly what you have to do next?
Yeah, I really do, bro. And I keep thinking that he is, but then I'm like, maybe that's not actually his voice. Maybe
No,
I just wish
literally.
it was. But I mean, it's still gonna have hope, you know? Eventually, right? Eventually, he'll show us the right path,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's
right?
not gonna like necessarily show us, but he starts
Lead us
opening
onto it.
doors, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I realized with God. He starts opening doors, which some of them you have to be careful here too because some doors are not from God either. And that's where like wisdom and discernment comes in. I've been praying a lot about that because I feel like looking for a job, I don't want to just jump into the next job out of desperation, right? Same with you, right? Like we've
Exactly.
been looking for
Yeah.
so long that it's very tempting at the first offer to be like, yep, I accept. But it's like, what about God? Like, does he want me here? Because the problem with my last job out of college, the full time one that I quit, was that I feel like in my heart, I knew it didn't feel right, but I took
Mm,
it because it kind of aligned with my timeline, you know? I took it
exactly.
knowing I had all those doubts and feeling not at peace. I feel like that's how you know it's not from God, like, you feel not
Mhm.
at peace. I did not feel at peace about that job at all, like, from beginning to end, even from when I accepted it. And, like, I think now that I know that, I'm able to be like, "How am I gonna do things differently this time? How are you gonna do things differently moving forward?" Knowing that God is the one who has the best in mind for you as his child.
Right. Right. Yeah, I definitely the same with me, like, my job out of college, it was I literally had a timeline for God, which, bro, come
Yeah.
on. Having a timeline for God is crazy. I was
Like, it's
like,
like, how
"God."
dare us, you know?
No, literally,
How
like, who
dare
am I
us?
to tell God what to do? I literally was like, "God, okay, so by April, if I don't get a job, that means that you want me to join the military." What? Bro was so impatient for what? And
Yeah.
God was like, "Okay, I'll teach you a lesson." So then he gave me the job that I had at the
Mhm.
bank, which I didn't like, but I think he maybe was doing that because he was like, "You wouldn't last a day in the military, so I'm just gonna give you this job because you're not doing that." I was like, "Okay." So yeah, like I can't give God a timeline
Yeah.
because it's not on my timing. I don't know why I was doing that. Like I was just bro,
Yeah.
I was really impatient basically. So yeah, I'm just trying to like be patient now and like really just rely on him and know that when the time comes, when it's his timing, it he will open the doors because that was just so stupid of me.
No, literally. But no, it's okay. You might have felt stupid, but I feel like I've done that so many times. I feel like everybody
Mm,
has, because like,
that's
as
true.
humans, like, we have a tendency to plan. It's like survival. We need to kind of have an idea of what's gonna happen next, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I think with that, it's like it's all about, like, balancing your ambition with contentment, right?
Mm,
Because
mm,
in this world, is always this push for being more. You're never enough. You could do XYZ. Every TikTok video these days is like I started a business with $0 and it grew to 6 figures and here's how I did
Yeah.
it, you know? Like so many of those, like we've been like bombarded with that in the society. How do you
Yeah.
balance like wanting to achieve more while still being happy with the current phase?
Right. It's like it's kinda difficult because right now I wanna achieve anything, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to be content with putting in effort and not really seeing anything come of it.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like I have a lot of ambitions, right? But every
Yeah.
time I put effort into something that I'm ambitious about, I don't really see any fruits of that labor, like but that's
Mhm.
also another patience thing, like, people work for years and years, and then finally, something happens, but I don't wanna be working for years and years, and then finally like but yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to be content, but I'm working towards just, like, being more patient because I feel like contentment also is, like, that you'll have to wait, right? So
Yeah.
why not just, like, be grateful for the phase that you're in right now, you know? So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right, because once you hit that next phase when you're in your job, I'm sure you're gonna wish that you had this free time, that you were
Yeah.
unemployed and had the time to, like, pursue other, things in your life. It's like
Mhm.
I feel like it's like the whole we talked about grass is always greener mentality, right, in another episode. Like
Yeah.
that, I feel like I wish so badly that I didn't have to fall into that trap every time. That, like, because I feel like the Lord wants us it's like Paul being content while he's in prison. He's in
Mhm.
prison and he's content. We are living such great lives, like, we're so privileged and we have so much to be grateful for, yet we're always wanting our life to be a
Something
different
different.
way, you know?
Mhm.
And it's like
Mhm. It's
you're
crazy.
every season in your life, like, nothing is to be wasted. This might feel like a waste of time right now, but this is all character development that is super important to your future as well.
Exactly. Yeah, which is so interesting to think about.
Do you feel like God has, like, reshaped your identity through this time?
Yeah, because I guess I always thought, like you, my identity felt kind of rooted in what my job was gonna be, right?
Mhm.
But now with the path that I think he wants me on, I don't know. We're just going with the flow.
Yeah.
It would be less my identity and more just something I do, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause if I were to be a doctor, that's like a 24/7, like, bro, that's
Job.
25/8 type of
Mhm.
job, you know?
Mhm.
That is who you are. You barely have time for, like, a family if you wanted one or hobbies or anything, and I was fine
Exactly.
with that because I just thought of my identity as being, like, what I do, but
Yeah.
over time, I'm like, "Yeah, my identity is not what I do," because you lose that, and then who are you? You know?
Mhm.
So, I think it's good that instead of my identity being rooted in what I do, it's, like, who I am and
Mhm.
like, being just I'm a child of God, first and foremost.
Yeah.
That's who I am, you
Facts.
know? You can never lose that. So,
Mhm.
that like, having that rooted in you is so important to, like, go on with your life because you can lose everything in your life, but as long as you know who you are at the core, then, at least you have something.
Yeah. It's not just something, it's everything, you know? If you don't know who you are,
That's
like,
true.
no matter what you do in life, like, you'll never find joy or be fulfilled because your
Mhm,
job is not
mhm.
gonna fulfill you, and it's not your
Yeah.
family, and someone's not gonna complete you. I feel like that's a big lesson that a lot of people feel like they deal with. You
Mm,
think that the next thing is what's gonna fill that hole in your heart, but it's actually a God-sized shaped hole, you know?
type beat,
Mhm.
yeah. Alright, well, with that being said, let's get into the no cap, just yap segment. The first one is having faith in the Lord gives you certainty.
What that one is, like, very because like, define certainty, right?
Y
Because having faith in the Lord, like, it gives you certainty in the sense that the one in control, the one driving the car in your life, you know? You know that God is the one that has the plan, and He is certain for sure. He's certain about what's gonna happen to you. He knows everything. He knows every hair in your head. At the same time, you have so much uncertainty following God, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're certain
Mhm.
in God, but you're uncertain about life, right? Because you have
Exactly.
no idea, like, what other plot twists like, we've already been through so many plot twists. This is just the beginning, you know? This is the beginning of our life, right? I know. But
No, literally, bro.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I wanna say no cap or just yap, but I think neither are true here, you know, because
Exactly, yeah.
you have certainty, the best kind of certainty, actually, knowing that your life is gonna work out for your good because God says so. But at the same time, you're not gonna know every step of the way, and the steps to get there, it might be crooked and, all over the place, but you're gonna get there.
Yes. Yeah, I agree completely because, yeah, like you said, there's no certainty in, like, this world, we actually have
Mhm.
no idea. All the only certainty we have is in the Lord. So yeah, this is in between. This is not no cap, not just yap. It's just
Mhm.
it just is. Yeah.
Wait, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Well, the next one is doubt doesn't automatically mean you have weak faith.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta
No
give it
cap,
with
just
the
yap.
gotta go with the no cap. Yeah.
No cap. Yep.
So definitely, I feel like depending on what stage you're in, or even just like
Mhm.
any day, there's gonna be a little bit of doubt,
Yeah.
but it's not the doubt that's the important part, right? It's the fact that you have faith in the Lord. I remember I forgot where in the Bible it was, but it was this one story about this one person had such great faith and someone else
Yeah.
had a small amount of faith, but it's not the size of your faith, it's the fact that you
Yeah.
have faith in the first place that's
Exactly.
important. So even if there is doubt, the fact that you have faith in the Lord and you know that he's there for you, that's the important part.
Yeah, and you know what
Yeah.
that reminded me of? The verse in the Bible that's like, "Faith as small as a mustard seed will move mountains." That's actually
Yes,
that was
yes.
the name of my acapella group. It was inspired by that verse. But it's true. That's such a good reminder because people sometimes are like, "Oh, just have more faith." And that's not the
Mm,
answer. Because it's not the amount of faith that we have that causes God to move, you know? He is the Lord.
fact.
We don't have a say in whatever he does.
Yeah.
And I think with doubt, like doubt and faith can coexist. And I think it's important that it does because in a way, like doubt leads us to deeper faith, you know?
Mm, mm,
Because when we doubt, we want to be proven wrong. And God will prove us wrong if you really seek him out for the answer. He will show
yeah.
you in your life in some way, like to work through your doubts because he's not just a God that, like, wants to punish you, you know? Like,
Right,
he's not
right.
one that wants, like, blind love either. He wants
Mm,
someone who's a
mm.
true follower of Christ, and in order to be a true follower, you're gonna struggle. Your faith, like, how you get deeper and closer to the Lord, like, people hate hearing this, but it's struggle. You don't know God if you've never struggled before, and
Yeah.
when you struggle, you're gonna have those doubts, right? You're gonna have those doubts in those days where you wonder you start to question God, like, "Oh, God, like, you sure you know what you're doing? You know? You sure?" 'Cause, cause I felt that way so much this last year, right? Like, "God, are you sure this is, like, what you want me to do? What if this is, like" there's all these what ifs, but at the same time, like, those what ifs, it reminds you to draw close. It reminds you to seek out the
Mm,
Lord. What does God say about me, and what is the world saying about me that is not true? Because you need to ground
mm.
yourself, that's how you get closer to God. Grounding yourself in the truth, praying, right? Surrounding yourself with people
Right, right.
that can speak life into you and not just worldly advice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're out there listening and you feel like you're going through a hard season, don't lose hope because God is always nearer than you think. God doesn't ever leave us. We have God inside of us. The Holy Spirit is there, you know? A sister in Christ reminded me recently that a lot of Christians, the mistake they make is they think that they're waiting for God to give them the next step. They're
Mm,
waiting for God to give them the go ahead. But she reminded me, she was like, "No, like, whatever you need, God has already given you. You have the Holy Spirit. The
that's a good
Holy
point.
Spirit knows everything, you know? So don't doubt yourself or your confidence because God is the one who goes before you. He's given us authority over the dominions. We have victory in Christ. So we need to live." She said, "Don't live like you're at the feet of the cross. Live like Jesus is alive and resurrected." And it was like,
Nice.
period, right? I was like, she was dropping bars. And honestly, like, this is such good advice. I wanted to share with everybody too, you know?
That's great, Selena.
And I was like, clock it. Well, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to No Cap Just Yap. You can keep up with us on socials at nocap.justyap on Instagram and TikTok.
We have new episodes every Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern on Spotify and YouTube, and we will see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Bye.